morning. Thank you so much for hopping on, you guys. We're going to talk this morning about motivation versus discipline. And I started yesterday. I've talked about this in the past, and I thought it was important again because we started this 90-day journey right to the end of the year. And I think sometimes we forget what's more important out of those two things. And so I was making my notes yesterday and I had the family in the living room, and I asked my stepdad and my son, well, I asked my son first, and then my stepdad went to go answer it for him. And I was like, no. I want to know from the 16-year-old. Yes, my son turned 16 on Friday, is now driving himself, which is scary and amazing all at the same time. If you're a mother or a parent of a new driver, I feel for you. Anyways, I wanted to know what my 16-year-old thought was more important, motivation or discipline. So thank you, Rachel, and appreciate all the prayers I can get. He is my only. I mean, I have two stepdaughters, but they're grown. He's my only. And so I tell him every single day of his life that he needs to protect the body that he lives in because I grew it and I would like it to stay out of harm's way. So we've had lots of conversations about that in the last few days with him driving now. It's scary for a mom. Okay, so I asked him yesterday what he thought was more important, motivation or discipline. So I'll ask you guys too. And if you've been on my trainings on this topic before, you may already know the answer to it, or maybe you're just really smart and you already know the answer to it. But if you want to put in the comments what you think is more important, motivation or discipline, and then we're going to go through these. There's my chat. And I know that like when you think about the big picture, so you guys have been on my training before. So my son and my stepdad both gave the answer of motivation yesterday and their reasoning why. And while I appreciated all of their reasonings and I really did want to hear them, I had to school them a little bit afterwards. And I think it got both of them thinking. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys this morning. If you've never heard this before, or you've never really thought about it, let's just talk about it for a couple of minutes. It's Monday, right? It's Monday morning. Well, you might not be watching this on a Monday morning, but for those of you who are on here live, it's Monday morning. And wow, what a Monday it's been for me. So, I'll just start with, schedule changed up just a little bit this morning because now my son can drive. So Monday morning was just a tad different. And I don't know why, when you have something that is supposed to happen in your regularly scheduled, but it's just off a little bit, like something's just going to change, just shift just a little bit. Your brain goes off in the morning before your alarm clock. And then you're like lying there awake an hour before you really need to be out of bed. And if you're anything like me, I love my sleep. So I don't want to be up an hour before I have to, but my brain wouldn't shut off. Was Luke going to get up on time? Was he going to be, we literally live, you guys, I think it might take, if it takes 4 minutes to get to Sydney's, it takes 2 minutes to get to the high school because the high school is probably dead center between our houses. And like, it's such a short drive for him, but it's still just gut wrenching, right? So I want to make sure he leaves the house on time. And what time is he going to leave? And we've already had this conversation, but for whatever reason, my brain this morning decided at 5 a.m. that it needed to be up thinking about it. I was like, this is not the way I want to start a Monday. And then for those of you thrivers on here, it was dark in my room and I was out of capsules in my drawer where I keep my stash of thousands of capsules because I'll never go a day of my life without them ever. I stumbled across to my office where I store all of the product and grabbed a box in the dark, dumped them into my drawer and took a packet of capsules this morning. And I took I dumped a box of men's capsules in my drawer. And I know some of you take men's every single day. This is just a total side note. I can't take them. I cannot, for a multitude of reasons. I cannot take men's capsules. I'm still waiting for that to wear off right now because it's not good for me. Okay, let's just, if you want more details on that later, I will give you details on it, but I have got to take women's capsules. I cannot take men's. I almost went and made myself gag and give them back to the porcelain god this morning. That's how my Monday started, okay? So I already knew the first couple hours of my day were going to be jacked. First of all, I'm worried about Luke getting to school. Yes, I downloaded Life 360. I'm super excited and happy that I have that on my phone. It is not to track his whereabouts. I could already do that on my iPhone anyway. So those that were answering my question, I thoroughly appreciated some of the funny stories I was hearing. I'm totally squirreling right now, but that was my Monday morning. And so when it comes to motivation versus discipline, I told myself last night, some of you guys know I got really sick. I got the whatever you want to call it that I've avoided for 2.5 years. And so I got pretty sick for a few weeks there, and then had some after effects from it that were really like kind of debilitating to my normal everyday life. I'm finally better. Like I feel 100%. And so I told myself last night, between a back injury that I had and then Ken getting sick and Ken having a back injury and then me getting sick, it's like we did the math on this. And for a number of weeks, months, we've been like out of commission in a sense of our normal everyday activity. And so I told myself last night, I'm getting up and working out and getting in the gym this morning. It's not just going to be a walk down the road. It is going to be a full on weight training workout. And so this morning when I woke up all off and then took the wrong capsules and I'm worrying about my son getting to work, I was like, or to school, I was like, my butt is getting down in that gym and I'm lifting some weights this morning. And I did do that, but not because I was motivated, because I was absolutely not motivated this morning in any way, shape, or form. But I am a very disciplined person most of the time. I am absolutely not perfect when it comes to discipline, but I'm pretty good at it. And I think I've learned over time that I can be a really motivated person, but a lot of times my motivation comes from working out and getting that blood pumping first thing in the morning. And it comes from those capsules that a lot of us take. That's like a dose of motivation, but they are not a dose of discipline. That comes from up here. You have to decide ahead of time that you're going to be disciplined about the things that you do in your life. And that actually takes a really strong willpower and mindset shift. It also takes a lot of pre-planning and being organized in your life to be disciplined. Your motivation can be, okay, so motivation produces emotion, right? Motivation is a feeling. You want to do it. You're excited to do it. A lot of times it comes from your passion about the project or the job or the whatever. But discipline is what's going to produce your actual results. Motivation is not going to produce results for you. It's just going to make it a little more fun, is how I look at it. When I asked my son yesterday, who's 16, what's more important, motivation or discipline? And then my stepfather followed with the same thing. I was like, all right, let's talk about this for a second. So Luke had to go to work yesterday at 4 o'clock or something like that. Yeah, something like that. I don't know, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. He had to get up and go to work. And I know yesterday he really didn't want to, right? He was not motivated to go. So I got to very easily use that example because he was, just getting ready for that. He had to head into work. And so I was like, are you motivated right now to go to work? And he's like, no, I told you this morning, I really don't want to go, but I know I can't call in. And I'm like, no, you absolutely cannot. I go, but you know that you have to show up. So you are going to, correct? And he's like, yes, correct. I'm like, so you're not motivated, but you are disciplined to be there. And he's like, well, yeah, because if I don't show up, I'll lose my job. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's discipline. That was like the perfect lesson right there for my 16-year-old. And sometimes, just as a side note, I think most of us have kids or children that we're raising. It's our responsibility to teach them things like this. And so it was actually really fun having that conversation yesterday and kind of dissecting that. And I was like, your friends, that he had some friends over the weekend because it was his 16th birthday. So we went to Topgolf on Friday night and had a really good time. And they stayed up all night in the hot tub outside, and God knows they're crazy because it was like 35 degrees out Friday night. But I was like, you're all summer. A lot of those friends of yours are either football players or basketball players, or you guys that are soccer players. There was practice during the summer that some days that his friends had to get up at, ungodly hours after they had stayed up all night and go to practice. And I said to him, I go, do you think that they were motivated to do that? Are you motivated to go and spend your summer break at football practice every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning in the hot heat? No, it's discipline that makes you do that. Motivation comes from winning the game, the excitement, the fun, the what if I go all the way? but the discipline is what's going to get them out of bed in the morning because they know that they have to go. So we use the example of, going to school. Of course, every teenager hates school, right? Well, I guess not every single one of them. I did not like going to school when I was a teenager. I slept through half of my classes. I don't tell my son that. So if you ever catch him, don't tell him I told you that. So I also got very good grades though. I'm not really sure. Maybe it was, what do they call that? Like osmosis or whatever. I was still learning while I was sleeping. But I said, are you motivated to go to school tomorrow morning? And he's like, well, I mean, kind of, because I can drive to school now that I have my own car. So he was really motivated by an emotion, right? So I pointed that out to him. I was like, that's an emotion. You're excited to hop in that car. And so you're motivated to go to school tomorrow, but 9 times out of 10, you are not motivated to hop out of bed in the morning, but you do have discipline because if you don't show up to school, you're going to get in trouble, right? You are not going to graduate. You're going to be in trouble with me. You're going to be in trouble with school. And he's like, yeah, because it's illegal. I'm like, exactly. There's disciplinary action if you don't show up, which is discipline. That's what makes you show up. So let's talk just a little bit about, some tips for developing self-discipline if you are not already. And there's lots and lots of books on this. One thing I will say is, and maybe it's probably in my notes here too, so I might say it again, but creating really good habits and forming really good habits and a really good schedule and pre-planning things is what is really going to help you stay self-disciplined. So think about your last 90-day run here. And I know each and every one of you have different goals on that 90-day run. Maybe it's to hit a rank, maybe it's for a promotion, maybe it's for bonuses, end of the year bonuses, company bonuses, product bonuses, whatever it is. Maybe it's to lose some weight before the end of the year. I know you guys all have different goals. We talked last week about starting with the end in mind on purpose, because when you get some really good habits, you put those really good habits in play. I'll talk about that just a little bit deeper in a second. And you get going. There are times through that 90-day journey that you are going to have to look at the very end and look at the vision of where you're headed, right? So beginning with the end in mind, what we talked about last week really comes into play here. That's going to keep you motivated, right? Now you have to put those habits together to keep yourself disciplined on the daily, right? So when you start to feel the motivation sinking in this 90 days, reach for things that are going to help that motivation be more clear again, which is the vision, which is keeping the end in mind, looking towards that end and what it's going to feel like when you lose those 20 pounds at the end of the 90 days, or you've grabbed that bonus and you're able to do whatever you have planned with that. Those things are all tied to your motivation. But how do you keep self-disciplined through this process so that you can continue to look at that and actually grab that when the end of this 90 days comes? So tips for developing some self-discipline: take baby steps. Sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. And I don't mean that like you shouldn't go for something big, but sometimes we bite it off too fast. We try to do it all at once. We set out this 90-day goal and we get ourselves to the point where, and I do this to myself all the time, so I'm speaking from total like personal example. I want it now. I'm super impatient. I know there's a few of you on here who are super impatient along with me, right? So Aaron, I see you smiling. So not to just call you out or anything, but I just know. So we set those goals. We want to get to that. And instead of mapping it out over the course of 60 days or 90 days or whatever the time frame is that we have to get to that end point, we jump all in. We're super motivated. We're so excited to do that. But motivation is an emotion, right? We just said that. So when motivation is on like the downward spiral because we bit off more than we can chew and we jumped all the way in and we try to do all of the things in the first 3 days of that 90 days and it doesn't turn into the 90-day goal, the big vision that we have at the end, the emotion drops, the motivation drops. And if we didn't create a self-disciplined plan for the 90 days, we fail. Every time. And then we fail again, and then we fail again, and then we fail again. And then we get into the mindset that it's never even going to be achievable and we're not going to do it because we can't. because we've already proven to ourselves that we can't. So taking some baby steps along the way, creating that plan of action, which we did, right? I had you guys, if you did the work, I had you guys sit down and create that plan for 90 days so that we were not jumping all the way in the first 3 days just to go and get ourselves all messed up in the head and mindset wise of failure because we bit off more than we could chew. So taking baby steps, your brain resists abrupt change. So slow and steady will win the race every time. Now, personally, I love momentum. And I always say that success loves speed because I do truly believe that there is a time and a place for that. Success does love speed. It likes things fast. However, if you are somebody who can have your motivation taken, if you are not self-disciplined, if you are not a very self-disciplined person, be careful because that motivation will become even more of a roller coaster. I always say this about network marketing because I think almost all of us here are network marketers. It is the most bipolar business you will ever enter yourself into. I mean, entrepreneurship in general is, but network marketing is even more. It is a bipolar business. You will have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So when that comes to motivation and discipline, you have got to be in network marketing an extremely disciplined person. When you're first starting your network marketing journey, you're going to work so much harder in the beginning for such a little return that most people fail. That's why most people fail, because they were motivated for a hot second. They never got disciplined about the daily consistent actions that they had to take. They didn't create a longer term plan that had small baby steps all along the way. So when they don't get to their goal that first month or that first 2 weeks, they quit because the motivation was an emotion and it was fleeting and it left them because they didn't hit the win fast enough. However, success does love speed. So if we can get some quick wins, like Sydney talked about last week, if we can get some quick wins along the way, we can see the return on that time investment and that win investment. And then the motivation stays with us. But how does that stay with us? It's because we stayed disciplined in the actions we needed to take each and every single day and didn't quit on those so fast. Another tip for self-discipline is start prioritizing. You only have so many hours in the day and a limited amount of energy. So if you start prioritizing those tasks that need to get done and not just having this, like, that's why we created that daily worksheet that we need to fill out every single day. I got off track with that. I'll be honest with you guys, you're my accountability. I got off track with that for 2 solid weeks. It was filled out this morning. I'm back on track. So if you ever get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, that sheet, yes, right. Duh, the sheet, it helps me stay on task throughout each of my days, but I haven't filled it out in 2 weeks. Get it out and fill it out today. It's okay. Get back on track. Be disciplined to know that you screwed up for the last couple of weeks. You got off track. You didn't stay consistent with your daily activities and you got to get back on track. Now fill it out today. It doesn't mean, oh, I haven't filled it out for 2 weeks, so I just quit. That didn't work for me. No, it's the discipline of it that didn't work for you. I do the same things. That's why I'm sharing that with you. So back on track, my sheet is filled out. My gratitude is done. My affirmations are done. My I am statements are done. My exercise was done this morning. I knew I needed to get back on track. That is discipline. I was not motivated this morning. I told you how my morning started out. It sucked a little bit. It is still sucking when I hopped on here. But the discipline of what I have, because I can go and look at the end of what I'm trying to achieve. I texted my husband this morning. I'm like, man, I'm just feeling like off this morning. It's a Monday and I know it. And it's just like, he's my accountability partner for everything. Right. So I was like, I just feel off this morning and I don't like it. And I just want to get to X point. Here's my X point. And I just keep repeating that to him. He knows what X point is. He knows where I'm trying to go. He knows what the ultimate goal is. I had to repeat it again to him this morning because he's my accountability partner. We talked last week or the week before about accountability partners. Here's another tip for keeping self-discipline. Find that accountability partner. I have a few of them. One is him. I can be the most transparent with him about how I'm like feeling, right? Hey, I'm feeling like this morning and I don't like it. I took the wrong capsules this morning and it's messing with my head. Listen to me for a second, please. I know I'll feel better when I get to this point? And then I restate the goal again so that I can remember that I'm beginning with the end in mind. Today, I have to be disciplined, not motivated. Today, I have to be disciplined because I wanted to quit first thing this morning. I wasn't having a good morning. We're going to have so many of those, you guys, because motivation doesn't stick with you. What do they say about the consistency and like showering or bathing? You have to do it every single day, right? For it to continue to work for you. So there is a big drastic difference between the two, and you have got to learn which ones you need. What's most valuable to you? Some people wake up motivated every single day. Kristen Scott, I don't know how you do it, but that girl has more motivation than I have seen in most people in my entire life. When I see her at the gym on the cycle, almost every single morning of her life, I'm like, okay, I don't know where she grabs her motivation from. We should probably let her tell us about that sometime. But she seems to be motivated 24/7. But you know what, you guys, I will bet that if we had a whole conversation with her, it's actually more about discipline than anything else. It looks like motivation to us on the outside because she puts these reels together and throws her product together and throws them up on social media with like heart pounding, amazing music. But in all reality, she's just a very disciplined person because she knows what her goals are. I should just put all my children. She's trying to set an example. She's trying to be the good mom. She's trying to provide a life for them that they may not otherwise have without her going out and doing things. You know why she goes out? I'll almost guarantee why she goes out and does that every single morning. It helps her mindset, which then gives her more motivation to keep going throughout the rest of her day. That's what exercise will do for you. But you have to be disciplined to get up every single morning and do it. I guarantee she wakes up some of those mornings and she's like, oh, I'm not feeling doing this morning. Going back to sleep sounds like more fun. I don't know. Most mornings I stayed with her in a hotel room in San Diego over the summer. And I was like, while I was laying in bed, tinkering around on my phone, Kristen went to the gym every morning. Why I never went with her is ridiculous. I work out all the time at home. Maybe I was scared to work out with her. She seems like she's a badass at the gym. I don't know. But that is discipline. She is motivated because she is disciplined. Another tip for developing self-discipline is learn from your past mistakes. We've all made them. We've all not reached a goal. We've all failed at something. That's okay. Failure to failure to failure will create a success at some point. It's just not quitting. It's not giving up, and it's staying self-disciplined. Take frequent breaks, not too many, like not too long. We just need to rest our brain for a hot minute. When I was having a morning this morning, Sydney recommended a new book to me. This totally does nothing to do with motivation or discipline. I'm just going to share it with you because I popped it on this morning. It's called A Minute to Think, Reclaim Creativity, Conquer Busyness, and Do Your Best Work. I found myself this morning needing that, not because I wasn't disciplined this morning or motivated. I just felt like I needed to take a break for my brain. I was pouring in stuff. I always pour stuff in when I'm working out to get my like reading, my training in at the same time. And this morning I was like, my brain can't take that. I need something else. So I thought about the book she'd recommended to me, and I popped that on because our brains need breaks too. Sometimes we're running and staying so disciplined and looking for more motivation, and it's not there. That was me this morning. It wasn't there. It wasn't just naturally there this morning. It was the discipline that kept me going, but I needed to give my brain a little bit of a break. Sometimes we go too much and then we burn ourselves out. So take some frequent breaks so that you can keep that discipline going and you don't completely give up on yourself. And then practice good habits. Somebody who's self-disciplined will skip the burger and grab the salad. They'll leave a party early so that they can get a good night's sleep, so that they can make good decisions the following day. They'll make the time to fit in a workout. I know is that a website? developgoodhabits.com? Sweet. I like it. One of my favorite books of all time on habits is Atomic Habits. It is one of the best freaking books ever. I talk about it all the time. I think I need to reread it because it is so good. So yeah, developing good habits are what are going to keep you in the game. They're going to keep you self-disciplined. So many times people want big things. And we talked about this with keeping the end in mind. So many people want that rank, want that bonus, want that title, want that promotion, want want all they want. But then when it comes down to creating good habits, they stay out at the party too late. They're too lazy on a Sunday to organize their Monday. They don't get up early enough before work. They sleep in too much. They have bad habits. And guys, I slip into those all the time. Then I guilt the shit out of myself over it. And then we correct the mindset behavior. And then we get back into our self-discipline and we move on. But I'll tell you, I used to be just a constant motivated person, constant. It was so easy for me to grab onto motivation. I will tell you, in my 40s, and the later I get in my 40s, and call it hormones, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, guys that are on here. The motivation lacks now. It is harder. It is so much harder. The energy just doesn't pop. The brain power just doesn't pop. There are so many things that are changing for me that I have to be a disciplined person at this point in my life. And I'm hoping this is fleeting. Maybe we'll get over it. But what if it doesn't? So do I just give up on all my goals and my dreams and the things that I really want for my family? Absolutely not. That is my discipline. That is good habits. That is plan, do, reviewing when things get rough, to realize, okay, got out of those good habits, need to get back into my good habits. So I say discipline so that I can go grab that goal at the very end of this. You know what else helps you keep motivated? And I know we got to hop off here. It's 9:30. I had some notes on, grabbing that motivation and staying motivated. Tips for getting motivated. Set small goals, you guys. Set those small goals and then celebrate them. We have to make sure that we celebrate the small wins along the way in this last 90 days, whatever your goals are. Celebrate. That's why I said to make some checkpoints along the way, like the 10th of the month, which is today, the 15th of the month, the 25th of the month, the last day of the month, the first day of the month, however you want to set it up. Make sure with the big end in mind goal, you've taken some steps in that process and marked them along that journey and along that path so that you can celebrate winning that. So you can get there and you have a checkpoint and then you can celebrate it. That will keep you motivated. That will keep you massively motivated. Stay positive, walk away from the negative Nancy's, check your circle. Change it up and check your circle. That will keep you disciplined and on the path that you need to be on. If you continue to surround yourself with people who do not have big goals, you will not be disciplined to get yours. You will fall into the negative Nancy patterns of the people you surround yourself with, and you will fall back out of your goals and out of your self-discipline and out of motivation because those people are not. So make sure you're checking that circle all the time. Stay fueled, take regular breaks, stay healthy, putting good. I saw a story of one of my friends, or a Facebook post of one of my friends yesterday, who's a super good shape, fit. She's in network marketing. She's at the company I was with years and years and years ago. She's still with that same company. Very, very healthy and fit person, always very motivated, always on top of her goals, crushing them all the time. And she had this plethora of healthy food out on her counter yesterday. And she called it her brain fuel for the week or something like that. And it was a really motivating post. And I was like, it's exactly it. We have got to do and be the healthiest versions of ourselves when we're going through a run like this, because stopping at McDonald's, Sydney and I stopped at McDonald's when we were traveling. I'm just going to throw us under the bus. I hadn't eaten McDonald's and I don't even know how long. But eating that crap and, continuously, I'm not saying every once in a while, you're going to have a little blip on the radar, especially when you're traveling, but continuously feeding your body, your brain, and your mind and all of the things garbage will produce garbage for you. Just remember that. So if you're putting garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So staying healthy is super important. Keep the big picture in mind. Start with the end in mind. Be honest and transparent in your journey. The more honest you are with yourself and those around you, the more you're going to have a cheerleading crowd around you that wants you to win because you've been honest and transparent about that journey with them. If you're continuously lying and portraying some fake image of where you're headed and how you're doing along that journey to your accountability partners, no one's going to trust you, believe you, or want to be on that journey with you. It will then come back and affect your own mindset. So being honest with yourself If you're sleeping in every single morning, you're out late partying every night, you're not doing the things that are good habits that are going to create good self-discipline, stop lying to yourself and correct the behavior. That's part of being transparent and honest to yourself, not just to those around you. Envision and share positive outcomes. If you need to get motivated again because you've lost it, figure out what's actually tanking your motivation. Start there. Because I think a lot of times people forget to do that. Why am I not motivated? And then they move on and try to grab that motivation or try to get themselves disciplined and back in action. And they didn't stop to think about, if this is part of your plan to review, they didn't stop to think about what tanked their motivation in the first place. Pinpoint it. It will do you so much good to find out what that actually is, what's actually bugging you, and correct it, figure it out, get it out of your way. But until you do that, you'll probably keep running into that same brick wall. So figure out what it is that's actually tanking your motivation and let's clear it. Pinpoint one joyful thing you can do each day to keep yourself on track. That will help you maintain motivation for your goal. Get outside. For those of us in Michigan, it's getting colder and colder and colder, but I'm going to try really hard to get outside. Sydney, I was going to see if you want to go bike riding tomorrow, so don't let me forget that. I think that's probably it. Pay it forward, show yourself some grace, ask for help when you need it. That's why you have an accountability team and partnership here with all of us. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. I hope you grab some good pointers this morning. Thank you, Sarah Hunt, for sharing that website. I'm going to go check it out later. Atomic Habits is a really great book. Discipline, being self-disciplined. I don't know if there's any book you can actually read on staying self-disciplined. I think it's all about creating good habits. So go find those books on creating good habits and then figure out what those are for you. That's going to keep you on the journey to being self-disciplined. Help yourself with your motivation by doing some things on a daily basis, like exercise and eating healthy and drinking lots of water and all the things that are going to go into keeping a motivated mindset. And then show up here every Monday and Wednesday because we want to help you through that journey. So love you guys. Hope you have a fabulous week.